Right, we're at Breckon Farms, coming over to do a little bit of publicity for Ken and Karen, and Brad Steele joins me, Harness Racing New Zealand's CEO. Hello, mate.
Hey, pleased to be back at Breckon Farms again with you, Paul.
It is a beautiful place, isn't it?
It's absolutely outstanding, and particularly today, sun shining, a little bit of a breeze, and probably 22 degrees, which is fantastic this time of the year.
I've been here since 10 o'clock. I did have to do a Mercy Dash back to Auckland and back again because I did forget something, but there hasn't been any breeze at all. Breeze is just starting to pick up. We've got the international drivers coming to see it, but I don't think they're going to mind when they get here. They're going to be blown away, I think, when they see the property and the premises.
They will be, Paul, and I think a few of those European drivers have come from probably an area that's a lot colder than probably what they're going to experience here. This is a bit like a heat wave for them at 20 degrees. So
shorts,
yeah,
and flip-flops.
Some of them will be in the shorts, and as
jangles,
you can see,
jangles, aren't they?
Jandals, yeah, that's right. And even myself got a bit of a suntan yesterday. I was out in the sun for a little bit of a while, and I think a few of the Europeans might have got a bit of a tan yesterday as well.
Carnivals are big. We want to get the message out there about carnivals. You've got your World Drivers' Championships on at the minute, but it all leads to the second Tuesday in November. This is actually the first Tuesday in November, and we just saw Jamie Mellum and Half Yours take out the Melbourne Cup. So it's a week now till the New Zealand Cup. But this carnival is a lot more than just a couple of days. It's not the Tuesday, Friday. There's a lot of build-up goes into this. One, are you happy with how everything's going? And also, how was Karaki yesterday? Sorry.
Yeah, look, really happy with the build-up, Paul. And I think this year, we've got unprecedented interest coming across from Australia for all the races. So I think that tells you that the build-up's been really good. So we've been really pleased from that perspective. And you're right, you've got the best horses, racing in Australasia, be it trotters or pacers, coming to New Zealand. The prize money is great, and so we welcome all the Aussies across. But and then feeding into Kaikoura, so that was Sunday, Monday. The record crowds at Kaikoura both Sunday and Monday. I know the wagering on Sunday was up 42%.
Good.
On the same time last year. So a lot of the punters really appreciated betting on, the international drivers, and importantly, the owners really got behind the heats. It's really important that the owners support us with those heats, which was greatly appreciated.
And that's always been a little bit of a bugbear, I think, is that Sunday meeting, has struggled a little bit. So the fact that it is up, that's encouraging that things are on the right track. You might not be able to have the World Drivers' Champion next year, but you might be able to have a Drivers' Challenge or something along those lines. I mean, I'm sure you guys will be thinking at that, but to make it a bit more of a special day. And I mean, I was at Maryborough at Redwood Day and watching a little bit of the coverage. It was very hard because it was busy, but I'm sort of thinking to myself, this is silly. There's a premier meet, like it should nearly be working together with each other and try and, celebrate harness racing. It would work very well. And I believe it's always those sort of same dates and same time. So, who knows, maybe that's something for everyone to get their head around and think about. But it's great that it does work that Sunday.
It does, Paul. Look, I think it's a great opportunity, for the two countries really to get together and try and get things a bit more organised in terms of feature races. And I do think there's an opportunity there for us to set up like an Australasian patents committee between New Zealand and Australia and really start to get those feature races better organised for participants and the owners and the trainers and the drivers. I mean, we're never going to get perfection, but I think there's opportunities there that we can improve it a bit.
Well, and look, I'll put my Victorian hat on for a minute, and I know a few of the Kiwis are already aware of it, but 7 weeks, there's, I think, 4 Group 1 pacing races and I think 5 or 6 Group 1 trotting races. In that time, there is $1 million bonus if someone can win 3 cups and the Hunter Cup. It's not going to be easy. People sort of thought it was easy. Leap to Fame came to Melbourne, got beat twice. So it can happen. There's no stress. He still might win the Hunter Cup, but he might not win those lead-ups to it. But I think the thing that I love the most about it is the trotters are there and the pacers, and it is 7-week block, so people know they're away for that time, but it doesn't take up all this calendar time, and you can be there for Bendigo. You don't have to be there for Bendigo. You can wait to Cranbourne Cup. It goes Bendigo, Shepparton, Ballarat, Kilmore, Cranbourne, Hunter Cup. You've got plenty of opportunity to be there, but it's exciting, and I think this is these sorts of things that we need to look at and try and condense and make it easier for people to get away, because it's a big expense for people to be away for such a long time.
Yeah, look, it is, Paul, and kudos to Harness Racing Victoria, for coming up with the innovation and those feature races. I mean, I'm sure it'll be greatly appreciated, and I think we've been talking to Harness Racing Victoria, Harness Racing New Zealand a few times on how we could potentially work better together. Just to try and make it better for our participants and make sure we're lining up our feature races. And there's probably a couple of opportunities that we can work together on a couple of things as well.
And please, with your old hat, Queensland have done it so well. They own a couple of time slots now, but they're condensing them too. Instead of stretching them out, they're aware of it. Bricky and everyone else behind the scenes are aware of it, to make it that little bit shorter. And even the same with Menangle, Club Menangle, because they dropped off the ladyship. I think it's only really now 2 days, like the Chariots of Fire. There's build-up. Newcastle, Chariots of Fire, Miracle Mile, so 3 weeks, and then they have the ladies back in May. So people are aware of the burden it does have on people. So by being able to make it a bit smaller, makes for a snappier carnival, if you like, that bang-bang, and does seem to work.
Well, I think, most people like to see the best horses competing rather than in separate jurisdictions, and I think, Queensland clearly had to make that change because they've now got the Inter-Dominion in their winter carnival as well, so it's sort of pushed a few of their feature races out to summer, but that's probably only going to be for the next 2 years, and then we'll see what they might change from there. But I think the jurisdictions do need to get together and start to get things a little bit organised. As I said, you'll never get it perfect, but I think there's an opportunity to start lining things up to make sure the best horses race the best horses and not being split across nations.
We spoke there about the Drivers Series, the World Drivers Series. Are you happy with how things are going? Albeit, you've only got 2 days to discuss, but you're happy with how things are working so far? Yeah,
look, it's been fantastic. The drivers, incredibly professional, which wouldn't be any surprise to anybody. They've really embraced New Zealand. I think there's only one of the drivers outside Blair that's actually been to New Zealand before, so they weren't quite sure what they were going to expect. And as you could appreciate, seeing Kaikoura for the first time, it was a great eye-opener. And I've been watching all the German and Swedish social media, and nearly in every picture or video is that ocean background. It's just quite incredible. I think you really got to be there to really appreciate it.
Yep, and they're going to finish on the in a week's time, and they'll be blown away by that meeting as well, because it's going to be full metro with a massive crowd, and they're not going to know what hit them, really. I think a lot of them.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's our biggest day in New Zealand. It's New Zealand's biggest wager day of the 2 equine codes, and so the world drivers get to drive on our biggest day. And the Cambridge tomorrow night, then down to Addington on Friday, down to Winton on Sunday, and then back finish it up on Cup Day.
Yep. Can I ask you a curveball? Just one with me. Alexandra Park didn't get onto the... Because I would have liked to have seen them going back to front, if you know what I mean. The question was asked to me, is it the only track in the world, and I've got to be careful because I'm in enemy territory here on the North Island, I say go the wrong way, but they actually say they go the right way, everyone else goes the wrong way. But is it the only track in the world that goes that way?
Gee, I'm going to take a guess and say no, but there wouldn't be too many.
No. Was the opportunity, was the thought process there to maybe...
Yeah, it was. I think maybe some of the French tracks maybe...
it could be too, yeah.
Go that way. But yeah, look, it was. But I think the Cambridge team come up with a really great, compelling proposition as to why we should run it at Cambridge. And the other reason behind Cambridge is a massive equine population down there, so cross codes in terms of thoroughbreds into harness, and we're getting on really well at the moment, so it made sense to try and work with the thoroughbreds as well, even though it's the day after the Melbourne Cup. But certainly Alexander Park was considered. It did have its complexities, and as I said, the Cambridge team really come up with a great compelling pitch as well.
No, that's okay. It was just one of those left of field ones, and I think we need to expose them, and they're going to have a ball when they get here, that's for sure, and go from there. Your Ascent, the Velocity, you got a few a few Australian horses coming across. Gates's Gem was awesome in the Derby the other day. She's going to add a lot of the intrigue. We know what Tracy the Jet's been able to do as well there. 3-year-old paces would have been nice to potentially got a couple of Aussie horses come across, maybe.
Yeah, we got one. Fader Waits for Kevin Seymour, and we did have a few inquiries, but nothing materialised. But I think there's still one slot that hasn't been filled yet.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised. I do know that there's been at least 2 Australian 3-year-olds that have been sought after by the slot holder.
Did they have to be on the plane, or is there another plane? Maybe there's another plane coming.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if there's another plane coming, but I know there was 2 Australian horses that were being sought out by that syndicate. The first one didn't agree, and I know they were chasing another one as well.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure where that's finished, but potentially there could have been another Australian. But I think, Paul, we've got a good crop of 3-year-olds here, both from the trotters and the pacers.
Yep.
Which will really go well for New Zealand the next few years.
Yep, and it will, and it's going to put a curveball to things. The Kian guys are coming back.
Yes, they loved it last year. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw Jillaby Ballerini the other day. It was a 5-horse race.
Goes okay.
Yeah, track record, she said. Anyone watching it and think, she's only in second gear, it was a track record. And, and I'll tell you what, I was lucky enough to MC that day, and gee, she's a brute of a horse. When people see her up close, they're going to go, wow. So, yeah, she's coming. Good contingent of trotters. The trotters are in good stead. I think the trotters are going terrific. We're here at Breckon Farm. They keep breeding them and keep exposing them. So I think that part of it is really exciting, what they're able to do, and it's exciting for the industry.
Yeah, it is, Paul. And I think, the trotting breed were down only 1% last year. So, there's increasing interest all the time, and Pat and Duncan are, getting access to some great stallions now. So I think the challenge for New Zealand is actually get a few more, trotting broodmares here, to be perfectly honest. And we've still got a bit of work to do on the pacing side, but there's definitely a lot of confidence in the trotting gate here in New Zealand at the moment, and you're starting to see that coming through with, as I said, particularly the 3-year-olds that are racing at the moment. So I think that all goes well, and I know during the World Drivers' Championship we've got a couple of high-profile European breeders that are here as well, so they're taking a keen interest in the New Zealand trotting breed and the way they race as well.
I know, just talking to Philly earlier on today, there was a King of the North sold for $385,000 at Harrisburg. There's a couple of those here, so there's a lot of interest now right across. That's a lower long farm horse that was here as well as over there. Yes. So unfortunately didn't come back, but the trotters definitely are. A lot of intrigue around the trotters at the minute, which is exciting.
Well, I think, Paul, I could be wrong, but I think next year's Caracas sale, there's a walnut colt out of an incredibly well-bred French mare.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage people to start saving for that one.
Any of our internationals that might be watching it, I can tell you as well, in Australia there will be a Walner, 2 Walners and a Chapter 7 that I know of. Actually, 3. There's also a couple of Bold Eagles. I'm in trouble, but I definitely know there's...
Maybe Ready Cash?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it is a Ready Cash, actually. Right. I was trying to think who it was, and it is on a lot of... It's a filly, actually, too. So These horses are on a lot of people's radars internationally, and that's exciting for Southern Hemispherical harness racing, as a lot of people are trying to bang on about, which I think you and I agree with we need to do. So,
I'm sure there's going to be international interest in some of those horses. So, so long as they make it there fit and healthy, I'm actually, I think it's going to be an outstanding sale. It's going to hopefully get some big numbers for those breeders. I mean, the breeding alone, Walnut Colts, Ready Cash, fillies, I mean, that's just mouth-warming. But as I said, I think people do need to start saving for those.
It's world stuff, though. I mean, if you can't afford them, I understand. Some people probably think, I'd like to be able to afford it, but doesn't matter. These are world stage. This will put us on the world stage that we are serious. And these bloodlines that these guys, you say there before about Duncan and Pat, Ken Breckon, plenty of people. The prices are going pretty big at the minute they're buying and servicing horses. Todd Anderson. There are a lot of people. I've probably forgotten someone, and if I have, Woodland Stud. Probably a few people that I have forgotten through this, and I don't mean to signal anyone out. And just back to Maryborough the other day, Gary and Tracy Hull. A lot of the Kiwis probably never heard of them. They've sent a tactical landing that won. They breed half a dozen horses every year, and they're all trotters and things like that. So they keep improving this breed, and there's so many people like these guys. So it is exciting, and I think if we can catch up, the sport will be in a good place.
Yeah, I think so, Paul. And I think you covered it really well last week. We've got a former Australian pacer. It Ain't Fake, I think it is, from Chris Frisbee.
Yeah, that was one name that really had me
something scared. Like that, I think it is anyway.
Yeah,
it sounds like that anyway.
Yeah, well, I was worried it was something else, but and then one the other day, and it was actually interesting. I think so. Anyone wondering? He's Faking, I think it was called.
He's Faking.
Does that sound right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. One the other day, Chris Frisbee. I think it had $140,000 in state money in Australia by Art Major. They said it could trot, so they sent it over here, and one of the reasons being is because of your rules over here that you can change them back if it doesn't.
And you can start pretty quickly.
Did you agree with what Duncan said, though, in that chat?
I thought Duncan sat on the fence when you...
He did. I called him Splinters, but
yeah, that's right.
He sort of said we need to have the same rule right across the board. He just didn't want to say who was right and who was wrong. That was his biggest thing. So
well, I'd agree with him. I think we need to get a bit closer in terms of our rules and regulations between the two countries. So I'd agree with him as far as that's concerned. But I do like the Kiwi approach.
And there is a challenge with that, with keeping the rules, because, I mean, when I first come over here and a driver would get 3 meetings, and I was like, what the? But 3 meetings, depending on which island you're on, especially here on the North Island in the middle of winter, can be a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's a decent penalty.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas in Australia, you're back for the weekend. So, right. So it is very different. So there'd be challenges, but I think also, gates and things like that, they definitely could work. Group status and those sorts of things as well. going together, get the race meetings going together, as the bigger ones, and celebrate the sport. I think is important.
Well, we got to, Paul. I mean, the two countries, we're not big enough, to
totally
be working in isolation. And I think, the closer we get, the better we will get. And I think we're starting to see that in the last 12 months to 2 years. We're starting to see that cross-Tasman competition coming back again. I think the more that we can do that, and as I said, from an administrative perspective, the closer we can get and the more consistent we can get, I think that's the best thing for our industry people. And it's not about the administrators, it's about what's best for the industry.
Yep, and these young trainers coming through, Chris Finozio, the Lees, I know Marg is at the helm, but Paddy is also the co-trainer. They're young people. They're coming across, they're winning. Yeah. So they're coming across more, so let that keep coming. Emma and Clayton sent one horse across, it stayed here. Ripples won the other day for Mark Jones.
Yeah, on a feature race at Ashburton.
Yeah, so they are sending them and coming back, and it's exciting, and we need it because it just generates that little bit of intrigue, doesn't it?
It does, Paul. And look, when we, just watching the crowd, embrace and engage with the international drivers at Kaikoura over the last few years, it just tells you how important it is that, we connect internationally and we connect, across the Tasman as well. I mean, the industry people really love to engage with these people.
Yep.
It's not that they get sick of tired of talking to the same people all the time, but there's a lot of camaraderie out there and a lot of friendships, and sometimes they don't talk to each other for a couple of years until we catch up at a feature race.
I'm lucky enough to go to the VDM every year, and I must say I've met some of the greatest people, and their mates see them once a year.
That's right.
For 1 week, and it is awesome, and I'm trying to get them to come over here for these because
we'd love the Irish to come to New Zealand.
Yeah. It would be awesome. The Cambridge race, you said to me I always throw you a curly one. I got one curly one for you. The race and the trot.
Yes.
I'm not being remiss of the sponsors. I think they changed, but the Tab Trot it is. Sorry. They're all systems go. You'd be happy with how they went last year. We had RC Phoenix and Leap to Fame actually. We won both.
Yes.
Last year. Excited about that next year.
Look, I am, Paul, and I think importantly what we do is once you run these feature races and carnivals, I think it's always important that you reflect back on, what happened, what could we do better, what do we need to stop doing or do less of, and we're just going through a process now to look at those slot races, so they'll definitely happen. The slot races are definitely happening, but we're just going back to see, is there some sort of variation that we can introduce just to continue to improve it? So we're working with the club around what that might look like, but certainly the slot races are definitely on for next year.
I don't know if you've seen Birchip's idea, but it's $10,000.
I have seen it,
So they're going to have a $125,000 race at Birchip. It's like Kaikoura, basically, and self-funded, $125,000 slot race. I think it's up to 80 rated horses, maybe up to 90 rated horses, so not even your high-end horses. So they can be done. We don't have to always just have them free-for-allers, fast classes and those sorts of things.
Well, I mean, I like that concept, and, again, hats off to Harness Racing Victoria and the Birchip Club, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the other clubs now probably don't try and,
they'll pinch the idea. So, but look, be fair, let's do it. Don't saturate the market. That's one of the scary parts.
No, that's right. No, it has to be sustainable. But I also think, if I'm correct, Birchip sells the best vanilla slice in Australia.
Yeah, well, Simon Sharp will be wrapped with that because because it has won the award so many years. So yes, the old snot block as we call them in Australia.
They better stock up, I guess.
We needed them to go over there.
Snot block.
They cook a mean steak too. Right. Don't tell me you've never heard of snot block.
No, I haven't. No, I've eaten a few of them, obviously, but I didn't know about that.
They are. Right, back to the Cambridge. Little birdie told me today. Any truth in the rumour that Kevin Seymour might have already booked his motel room? Do you know in Cambridge?
Well, it's not a rumour. It is true.
Fact.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. No.
That's got to be good for you guys. You must be up and about with that.
It's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's a very good sign, and I'm actually going to go and probably have a coffee there tonight, so I know where it is.
You're making sure the bed's all sorted.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, we're attention to detail.
That's good, because that's what we want. We want RC going back as a defending champ, and we want Leap to Fame. Then we want some others to go across with it as well, and it makes it for a race. And we need the build up this far from home. I know it's in April, but who cares?
Yeah, that's right. Well, accommodation can be at its premium, Paul, so you've got to get in quick. And this is a new hotel in Cambridge.
So Kev didn't want to miss out.
No, he's got some good intel as usual. So yeah, he's booked in early, and I'm sure he's got the small room there as well.
Yeah, I bet he has. The nosebleed section, but that's okay. But good luck to him. I mean, he put some money in, and if he's going that far out, that's exciting, and it's great for the industry.
Yes, well, he did enjoy the slot race last year, and look, the club looked after all the slot holders incredibly well last year, and I know Kevin said it's probably one of the best race nights that he'd experienced, and he's been to a lot of race meetings, and credit to the club.
Poured rain and it was windy and it was dark. It was a shock, and wasn't it? But it was it was so fun.
It was, yeah. I mean, Duncan got drenched, and it didn't worry him.
Worried my
it was such a
camera.
great night. Yeah.
That didn't last that well, but anyway, that's okay. But that's what it's about. It's about having fun, and I don't want to rain on Addington or any of those guys, but we need to build it up so people are aware of these races. Plan to come out here, and that's. I spoke to Ken earlier about people coming to New Zealand, come out here and look at the yearlings, go to Woodland Stud, go to a lot of these farms and look at them, have a holiday over here and enjoy it, and get around people that are going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun in a minute when the drivers rock up, so that's what it's about.
They will, Paul. Look, we've been doing some work this year around getting the pathways better for different horses, different gates. Now we're just about to start a fair bit of work on 2-year-old racing here in New Zealand, so we've got to get better pathways, but also importantly that the Aussies understand the races that we've got and the pathways that they can participate in. So I think that's upon Harness Racing New Zealand to do a better job retailing that side of it to the Aussies as well, and we know that if we make it really clear and easy for them, they'll definitely come over here, and vice versa as well.
I am on the North Island. I will ask you one curly one. Alexandra Park. I think the sale fell through for Pukekohe just a little while ago. Are you comfortable in the direction that it's going or where it's at?
I'm uncomfortable that it hasn't been resolved. But there are options, and the club and their people are pursuing a few options. So, but clearly something does need to happen at some stage. We can't continue to have that debt outstanding, because fundamentally, without the debt, the club is actually a very profitable club. But not as it is today. So
you need to resolve it.
It does need to be resolved. And look, we spoke to the club last week, the chairman and I, and there are a number of options that the club's pursuing. But it's going to take a little bit longer, but they do have some options that they are pursuing. But it can't go on for too much longer, to be perfectly honest. And all options are on the table and being considered, which it does need to be. But we're also mindful that it's probably holding back the horse population in the North Island because of that uncertainty.
That was my next question, yeah.
We've got to solve the training centres, and people need to know where we're going to be racing, where we're going to be able to train our horses. So we understand we need to solve that fairly quickly if we're going to get more horses racing in the North Island. Because
that is a worry, and from afar, and from now on, it doesn't look as bad. But in the middle of winter, when you've got a 6-race card at Cambridge with 6 horses in it, and then you get 2 or 3 bigger fields, but the rest are sort of struggling, and it's not a great look. And I would imagine something you guys aren't that comfortable with.
No, look, we'd certainly need to have more. I guess, Paul, the interesting thing out of that is that we've switched Cambridge from Tuesday night to Thursday night.
And it works better, and I don't get that.
It works better, and can I tell you, we did have a very light card at Cambridge a couple of weeks ago. There were 6 races, and they were very light on. It was the second highest turnover night Cambridge since they've been racing on a Thursday night. So we know if we can get more horses racing, we can generate good turnover, but getting the horses here is not something we're going to be able to solve for in a hurry. And as you rightly point out, this time of the year, a lot of the horses heading down to Addington for the feature races. It does dilute the pools. We had a quick look. There's not a hell of a lot of horses racing less this year as there were at the same time last year, but it's still not enough. We need at least another 40 or 50, to be honest.
Yeah, and it is a struggle. And you said I always ask you a curly question. I probably should have given you the heads up. I wasn't actually. No, the leap to fame was my curly one. That was
right, okay.
But Alexandra Park was just one of those ones I thought, well, it's people say.
Well, you've got to face up to these things, Paul. I mean, they're factual things, and our people are concerned about it. And look, so is Harness Racing New Zealand and the club, but we do have to solve for it. We do understand, and it will continue to worry people until we resolve it. And I'm confident at some stage it will be resolved, but I'd like it to be sooner rather than later.
I'd love to hear from someone. How come Cambridge on a Tuesday night doesn't work, where some horses could have backed up to a Tuesday to a Friday, yet Thursday to Friday, and you can see there's a market difference. It just doesn't. Logically, it doesn't make sense to me, and I've trained horses in that before, and a lot of horses I wouldn't back up that short, but there'd be the odd one I'd say, well, let's give it a go, and should increase field size. But yeah, it was an odd one, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, it is odd, but I think we've got to keep trying things, and I'm really keen to stick with Thursday night. I think there's an opportunity there. There's now a new show on out the gate on Thursday night as well, which is a bit like a Friday Night Lights, but certainly a lot different.
A lot different, I did say it.
It is a lot different, but it is appealing to a different audience, and it's really working. I mean, as I said, when you look at, we had small fields and a small card, and it generates the second highest turnover we've had at Cambridge. It just shows there's an opportunity there.
And that show might be facilitating.
I've got no doubt it's playing a major part. I actually really like like that show and like watching the pot building up and all the interactions that they have with their guests. And as I said, I really see it like the alternative to Friday Night Lights. And maybe there's an opportunity down the track to have two race meetings. Harness racing meetings on that Thursday night, because we're still waiting on obviously the outcome of the greyhounds.
Yep.
As well. So
potentially down south, somewhere like that.
Yeah, maybe in Addington or somewhere else. We don't have too many tracks with lights in New Zealand, so 3 of them in the North Island and maybe only 1 in the North Island, Addington.
1 in the South Island, sorry.
1 in the South Island, pardon. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'll be in trouble when I get to Addington this
I never
Friday.
knew that.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've got Cambridge, Manawatu 2 and Alexander Park that have got lights, and Addington's the only track in the South Island with lights.
Okay. Right,
for now.
We need a light fitter. Well, Ashburton was earmarked a few years ago. I don't know if that's still on the table or not. I don't want to.
No,
don't even ask about that. But I mean, yeah.
There is a review of all venues just about to commence, and within the next 6 months we'll have a
that wasn't meant as a curly question. That was just one that I knew, and I just threw it out there too. So
no, I think you've got to be transparent, and our industry knows that there's that work's about to commence. So I think it's really important. And one of the things that we'll need to think through is do we need more lights on our tracks? The great thing about the South Island is, and not through winter, but we can race until 9 o'clock at night.
It's we actually don't need trippy lights. Place that way. Yeah, exactly. And then you don't want lights in winter because they don't want to be out that late either.
No, that's true too. Yeah.
But from our background, Australia, like you don't go looking for a trot race during the day, maybe a Sunday, but you just don't do it, do you? Like, I mean, we know Menangle do it, Albion Park, I think, do Tuesdays. There are day meetings, but traditionally you turn the TV on, it's anywhere from 6 o'clock onwards, and you're going to tune into a trot race.
It is, Paul. And look, I think sometimes, maybe not so much in New Zealand, but sometimes, some of the other codes push up a little bit into the harness time, and we sort of get pushed out into other time frames that may not be ideal. So I think but we still need to race. So sometimes you've got to take those options and make the best you can with it.
Brad, thank you. Appreciate that. A random chat that went on a bit longer than what we're both expecting. And what'd you say, 3 curly ones? 3
or 4, or maybe there's more once I go.
I really only had the one because I was given the heads up on the Leap to Fame thing, which is awesome for harness racing for New Zealand. I think like there'll be a lot of people running around saying, "Will you go? Won't you go?" But hey, if Kev's booked his room, he's going to be there at least anyway.
Well, he's booked his room, and look, I could be wrong, but I think it's a place called Clement.
Where do you go? Yeah. You get a free holiday?
No, definitely not. No, but I will check it out. They tell me they've got a great coffee there. So
when you go to the South Island, you've got to look after the Patterson boys too. The Montreal and the Commodore. It'll be booked out. I know that this week. But please, anyone coming to the South Island, make sure you look after the Patterson boys because they're looking after me. So I really appreciate that.
Well, Paul, you wouldn't believe it. Our first day for the international drivers, Brett Beckwith, who's the American representative, flew in from New York to Auckland and then down to Christchurch. And you wouldn't believe who
Tom was on the same flight.
Tom Patterson was actually in the seat next door to him.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, so there you go.
I did know that one too, so which is awesome. And and they love the industry, and that's the other thing about it. It's not just they look after me, they race horses, but they love the industry and they're putting them back.
They do, absolutely.
Thanks, mate. Nicky will be getting ready to kill me. Should be like 5 minutes. I don't know how long this has gone for, but I appreciate it.
Well, she'll be waiting for me to give her another soda water, so...
no, she's got one. Fine. She's under control. Ken's got her under control.
Oh, right, okay.
Thanks, mate.
Good on you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.